Thank you, Pat. For those who have been watching our game throughout the afternoon, you might be interested to know that the Red Sox have not had a pitcher throw a no-hitter since 1965, September 16th of that year, when Dave Moorhead no-hit Cleveland. Alan Mills on relief. He faced Dean Palmer and got a line drive to third for the second out of the inning. Now Gino Petralli drops one into left center. A base hit. Kevin Reiber around to score. Gonzalez took third as Anderson runs it in. It's 5-0 Rangers. The RBI for Gino Petralli is first of the game and 9th of the year. Four runs in the inning. All of them charged to the starter, Rick Sutcliffe.
Alan Mills with a good fastball, a hard slider, an occasional changeup. He jams Petralli, but Gino strong enough to lift it into left center field for an RBI, his 9th of the year. Playing sparingly, of course, because of Rodriguez's consistent playing time.
Jeff Fry, the batter, 1 strike the count. The Rangers have batted around. Fry, the 9th hitter of the inning. He struck out against Sutcliffe in the second, tried to bunt his way on. In the 5th, he popped it up, and Sutcliffe caught it. Five hits in the inning. 4 of them off Sutcliffe. 1 off Mills. 2 outs. Runners at first and third. The runner at third is Juan Gonzalez. And at first, Gino Petralli.
Alan Mills, number 75, usually reserved for minor league players in spring training and tackles. You don't usually see a pitcher with that high a number. As a matter of fact, I can't recall seeing a pitcher with the number 75 ever. Dave Heberlo, a right-hander for the San Francisco Giants, used to have number 60. Don Drysdale, 53. I can't recall a pitcher with the number 75.
Nor can I. 3-1 the count. Usually when you see those numbers on players in spring training, you know they have no chance to make the major league team.
That's right. It's the ones they pin on. You know, if you have like number 10 on a uniform, if they pin another 1 on there and you're number 101, no shot.
You're an entry.
Yeah.
Fry walks. The bases are loaded. And the man who started this inning is up again. Brian Downing will have to wait. Pitching coach Dick Bosman is on his way to the mound. Brian Downing started this inning with a single. He scored the first of the 4 runs. He doubled and scored the Texas run in the first inning. Alan Mills has been a very pleasant surprise for Baltimore this year. He started the season in the minors. John Oates told us before the game this afternoon, when they had to bring somebody up, there was some discussion about whether or not Mills was the right player, and Johnny Oates had to be convinced by Dick Bosman that Mills was the right guy for the job because they were looking for somebody in long and middle relief. Pat Clemens continues to throw in the Baltimore bullpen, and they have been pleasantly surprised with what Mills has done. He's always had a good arm. It was just a matter of throwing strikes. Well hit. Anderson can't get it. It's the second hit of the inning for Downing. 2 runs have scored. Fry is being waved in. He scores. It's a 3-run double for Brian Downing. The Rangers lead 8-0.
Big day for Brian Downing. He double scored the first run of the ball game. He doubled and scored to open the 6th. And now as the 10th batter in the inning, a bases loaded double. Brady Anderson figuring, why not try for it? If you play that ball safely, you only save 1 run. So in order to keep the Orioles in there, he did make the diving play, and that's going to do it for Alan Mills.
2 runs charged to Mills. He's responsible for Downing. Pat Clemens will be the new pitcher when we come back.
Is sponsored by Rolaids.
And the new pitcher is Pat Clements. His first pitch to Jeff Houston in the dirt, and that gets Brian Downing to third. So one pitch, and it's a wild one from Pat Clements. And things have really come apart for the Orioles here in the top of the sixth as they have surrendered 7 runs.
Pat Clements, formerly with the California Angels, Pittsburgh Pirates, New York Yankees, San Diego Padres, and he was waived by the Padres, and the Orioles picked him up as a left-hander for the bullpen.
Right back to Clements. He made a nice play to knock it down and throw out Houston, and the long inning comes to an end. 11 men went to the plate, and now Bobby Witt has some runs with which to work. 8 of them. It's 8-0 Texas. Among the sellout crowd enjoying the ball game here in Baltimore this afternoon, Marty Frank, CBS Vice President, based in Washington, and Marty has his hands full today with all of those youngsters in their CBS hats enjoying the game from the Brooks Robinson Party Suite. If you want to come to a game here, you can rent that suite. It has about 80 tickets, and bring as many of your friends and family as you'd like, up to 80. That gentleman in the middle of your screen is Ron Shapiro, who is one of the key figures in baseball at the moment. The agent not only for Cal Ripken Jr., but also for Kirby Puckett. Here is Cal Ripken, who has walked and bounced back to the mound. At the moment, both negotiations are on hold. Cal Ripken was reported to have turned down an offer from the Orioles of $30 million over 5 years earlier this season. By my math, Tim, and help me if you will, that's about $6 million a year.
Your math is correct.
Amazing what these calculators can do in this day and age. That's down the left field line. A long run for Reimer, and it's into the stands.
Now, the one thing about Ripken, he is a treasure in this area, as Kirby Puckett is in the Minnesota area. 2 more dedicated athletes do not exist in baseball. When you think about the 1,670 games that Ripken has played in a row, you think about how many times he has gone out there when he's been in pain. I can attest to the fact when you play every day, much less 11 years, going on 11 years, you can't be feeling good all the time. And that's not unlike his whole family. There's a story about his dad, who's the third base coach now, who was winding up a tractor one day, and the tractor crank came back, split his skull. He wrapped it up, went inside, told his wife to put a butterfly bandage on it, did not go to the hospital. And, you know, when you think of Ripken, you do really indeed think in terms of Lou Gehrig and his streak and how tough Gehrig was. 2,130 consecutive games did Gehrig play. And there's a story about Lou when the Yankees, back in 1934, in June of 34, the Yankees played an exhibition game in Norfolk, Virginia. Lou Gehrig was hit in the right temple with the ball, suffered a concussion, very serious. That was before batting helmets. He played the next day in Washington and hit 3 triples his first 3 times up, and the game was rained out. The knot was so big on his head, he had to borrow Babe Ruth's hat, because Babe Ruth was the only guy who had a hat big enough, not only for Lou's head, but for his knot on his head. He cut the seams out of the hat and wore the seamless, or the cut seams in the hat, and got 3 triples his first time up, right out of bed, right out of the hospital. Ooh. So, I mean, it's an understatement to say this guy's tough, and the guy he's chasing was tough too.
Ripken with the base hit, so perhaps he's trying to get on track. He had 2 hits last night and 1 hit this afternoon in this consecutive game number 1,670, far and away the longest current streak among active players. He hasn't missed a game since May 29th of 1982. That's just the 3rd Baltimore hit. Glenn Davis sends one out of play and left. Davis had the first Baltimore hit, a single to left in the first. He walked in the 4th. play. Nothing Texas. The lead man on for the Orioles in the bottom of the sixth. The Rangers scored 7 times at the top of this inning, and Davis strikes out. For an update on the Boston-Minnesota game, let's check in again with Pat O'Brien.
All right, Sean, top of the 7th with 1 out. Danny Darwin left the game, allowing only 1 hit by Kirby Puckett and 2 walks. The bases loaded. Paul Quantrill gave up a single to Chili Davis, scoring 2 runs. Twins lead 3-1, top of the 7th. Back to the Math Kings, Sean and Tim.
Thank you, Pat. This is the second Major League appearance for Paul Quantrill, who won his Major League debut. Not faring as well this afternoon. Randy Milligan. Fly to right his first time up. He bounced into a 1-6-3 double play in the 4th. We're in the 6th, 1 out, a runner at first. 8-0 Texas. That was pitch number 93 from Bobby Witt, and it was ball 2 outside.
I think Bobby Witt would gladly give the ball to the bullpen with an 8-run lead. So I would imagine Toby Harrah will stick strictly to that 105 to 110 pitch limit. This may be his last inning.
A strike. On the subject of the Boston Red Sox, Bobby Witt grew up a Red Sox fan in suburban Boston in Canton, Massachusetts. He was disappointed to learn, because of our other game being Boston and Minnesota, that this game would not be seen in Boston today. But among his close friends growing up were the Sullivan boys, the sons of Haywood Sullivan, one of the owners of the Boston Red Sox. And Mark Sullivan, baseball fans will remember, was a catcher for the Red Sox. A good friend of Bobby Witt growing up, and he now does the advanced scouting for the Texas Rangers.
How about that?
Bobby Witt relying on a lot of the information provided by one of his childhood friends, Mark Sullivan. Toby Harrah pointed out to us yesterday what a great job Mark Sullivan has been doing in that role. That's a base hit for Randy Milligan. He's 1 for 3, 2 hits in the inning. The Orioles only had 2 hits for the ball game coming into this inning. But just as it came apart for Sutcliffe in the top of this inning, perhaps Witt is starting to lose it here in the bottom of the 6th. There is no action in the Texas bullpen. Petralli out at the mound to talk with Witt. CBS Sports coverage of Major League Baseball continues next Saturday at 1 Eastern Time, with the St. Louis Cardinals traveling to Pittsburgh to face their National League East rivals, the division-leading Pittsburgh Pirates. Some of you will see the New York Yankees taking on the front-running Toronto Blue Jays from Sky Dome in Toronto. That's next Saturday at 1 here on CBS.
Toronto losing a tough game last night. Candy Maldonado, a home run in the top of the 9th against Dennis Eckersley. And then Mike Bordick with a 2-run double in the bottom of the 9th off Tom Henke, the ace for the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays at one point led 4-1 in that ball game. Orsolak hits a double play ball. Fry, Hewson, and the throw hit the runner Milligan. It goes into the Oriole dugout. Palmeiro wants a call against Milligan. There is none forthcoming, and a run scores on the play. Toby Harrah is out to argue this point.
I think his situation here was Jeff Hewson drops down, but Randy Milligan doesn't get down. As long as he doesn't throw his arm up blatantly and intentionally, and nobody in their right mind is going to do that when you're 3 feet away from a guy dropping down and throwing the ball hard. That ball just simply hit Milligan. Milligan's out, and it's an error on Jeff Hewson. Really no argument here. This is pretty clear cut right here.
Rich Garcia, the crew chief.
Ruben Sierra from right field is in. Now, that's an interesting fact. Ruben's saying, look, I had a good view of that.
I think Ruben was hoping it would be the end of the inning and he could just run in, but it's not going to be that.
Here it is again. You can see that Milligan does not intentionally throw that arm up. He's just trying to get down. And the ball hitting Randy on the right arm, reminiscent of the Dizzy Dean story back in 1934 when he was hit in the head by a shortstop. But it's going to be a throwing error on Jeff Houston.
They haven't yet posted that. They haven't put the run on the board yet either. Now they do, and that's the reason for the smattering of applause you hear in the background. So that's a tough break for Bobby Witt. He got the double play ball that should have gotten him out of the inning and kept the shutout intact. Instead, it's a run on the board for Baltimore. 8-1 Texas. Orsilac at second. They have now posted the error on Houston. The first error of the ball game for either team. And a rare error by Houston, his 7th of the year. And 95th of the year for the Rangers. They lead the American League in team errors. Leo Gomez, the batter. 1 ball to count. There's a base hit in the left field. Orsilac is being waved in. He will score. The throw comes into second. It's 8-2. Leo Gomez with his first hit of the game, and the RBI is his 43rd of the year. 16 of those runs batted in have come over his last 11 games.
The Orioles doing what they can to get into the Rangers bullpen. We mentioned earlier that the Rangers bullpen with a 4.99 earned run average, and Tom House, the pitching coach for the Rangers, has some action going, or will shortly have action going. There's Ray Burris, the bullpen coach, and someone is going to get up. Tom House, the guy who caught Hank Aaron's 715th home run in Atlanta in 1974. He caught it in the bullpen while he was a member of the Atlanta Braves.
Pinch hitter Chito Martinez is batting for Bill Ripken. Martinez facing Bobby Witt. He was allowed 3 hits in this inning, but he was victimized by the error. Chito hitting .208. He's just 1 for 16 as a pinch hitter. Strike 1, 1-1. The ball low. There is indeed action for the first time today in the Texas bullpen. The left-hander is Floyd Bannister and the right-hander Terry Matthews. 8-2 Texas. Rangers scored 7 times in the top of this inning. The Orioles with 2 here in the bottom of the 6th. Martinez tried to check his swing. It's 2-2.
That was a fastball swing and a slider. Caught in between. Chito will tell you that. That's a quick swing, and halfway through he realized it was a slider. Too late.
Just outside. The count is full and with 2 outs. Leo Gomez will be off with the pitch from first base. Gomez runs, and the pitch is low and inside for ball 4. That was pitch number 104 from Bobby Witt. You heard earlier Toby Harris say if he gets up to around 110, 115, that is usually the danger zone. And Tom House is on his way to the mound, buying time for Matthews and Bannister in the bullpen. It was the 5th walk thrown by Bobby Witt. At the conclusion of today's game, Tim McCarver and I will select the Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in the player's name to the Special Olympics. Jeff Tackett was the scheduled batter, but he's been called back. The reason for the hand you hear is that Rick Dempsey has trotted in from the Oriole bullpen to the dugout, so he'll come on to catch when we go to the 7th inning. There's Dempsey. And there's Mark McLemore to bat for Jeff Tackett. Tackett experienced something that I'm sure very few major leaguers have. Last weekend when they were down in Texas, his father, Terry Tackett, a former minor league player in the Angels organization, was in the stands. He had come in from California to watch Jeff play. Jeff, during one at-bat, fouled off 4 pitches, and his father caught one of Jeff's foul balls.
Oh, right. Little nepotism there. Nothing wrong with that.
Mark McLemore, the batter, with first and second and 2 outs. McLemore is hitting .242. He's 3 for 9 as a pinch hitter. He's a switch hitter, batting from his weaker side of the plate. He's hit just .230 left-handed this year as compared to .273 from the right. Well hit to right. Sierra on the run. It's over his head and off the wall. Gomez is on to score. Martinez is being waved in. He will score. The throw to third, not in time. It's a pinch hit triple for Mark McLemore.
With this swing, the Orioles are back in this ball game. Still only the 6th inning. And McLemore choosing a Bobby Witt fastball, rifles one against the 373 sign. And by the time Gonzalez comes up with it, it is a triple for McLemore, and that's going to be it for Bobby Witt.
He should have been out of the inning unscathed. But again, defensive problems cause a big problem for the Rangers. The error by Houston kept the inning alive, and the Orioles have capitalized by scoring 4 times. With the score, the Rangers 8 and the Orioles 4 will return to Baltimore after this. Witt doubly unlucky, not only that the error extended the inning, but because you cannot, in the official scoring rules of baseball, assume a double play, all of the runs are earned. Even though had Houston not hit the runner with the ball, the inning would have been over without a run scoring. So things turned sour in a hurry for Bobby Witt, and he has handed the ball over to the veteran left-hander Floyd Bannister.
And remember, we talked about the bullpen of the Texas Rangers. Only the Seattle Mariners, to reiterate, have a worse earned run average in the major leagues. So Texas's bullpen is 25th. 25th. Or I should say second highest, but 25th. I was going the other way on that.
Yes.
I do.
The graphic is correct
second highest,
as are you.
right.
Bannister inherits McLemore at third. He had a pinch hit triple to drive in 2. Rangers sent 11 men to the plate on the top of this inning. Anderson, the 8th batter at the bottom of the 6th. It's 8-4 Texas. Anderson has popped out, singled, and walked. He has stolen 2 bases today. One and one. Brady hitting just .208 this year against left-handed pitchers, and in his career against Floyd Bannister, he is 0 for 9. Six of those 9 have been strikeouts. A breaking ball for ball 2, 2-1, and Anderson asked home plate umpire Dan Morrison to check the ball. Ball 3. The right-handed hitting Mike Devereaux is on deck, and Terry Matthews, the right-hander, is still throwing in the Texas bullpen. Off the end of the bat to short. Hewson throws him out. That ends the inning. The Orioles get 4 to get back into the ball game after 6. 8-4 Rangers. It became a slugfest in the 6th. 7 runs for the Rangers, 4 for the Orioles. It's 8-4 Texas as Rafael Palmeiro begins the 7th with a chopper foul past first. A couple of changes for the Orioles made necessary by the pinch hitting in the bottom of the 6th. Rick Dempsey, at age 41, the 4th oldest active player in the majors, is behind the plate. And Mark McLemore, he of the pinch hit triple that drove in 2, is at second base. Popped up along the third base line and slicing toward the stands. No chance for Gomez.
Rick Dempsey, Sean, you mentioned he's 41 years old. He's one of 9 over 40 in the American League. The National League's oldest player, Bob McClure, a left-handed pitcher for the Cardinals. They have nobody 40 or over. But Rick Dempsey is caught in the majors in 24 different seasons. One game shy of a Major League record set by Deacon McGuire between 1884 and 1912.
Pat Clements strikes out Palmeiro. Now let's join the youthful Pat O'Brien.
Thank you, Sean. Toronto at Oakland. Kelly Gruber's shot up the middle is knocked down by Ron Darling in the top of the 4th. He's fine. Darling has a no-hitter through 4. Oakland has just scored twice in the 4th. They lead 2-0 in the 5th. Back to you, Sean.
Pat's a no-hitter central there today. Kept us on top of the goings-on with Danny Darwin, who took a no-hitter into the 7th and lost it. Ron Darling working one this afternoon. Ruben Sierra is 0 for 3. Again today, the Rangers are getting the job done without anything from Ruben Sierra. And that's a pop-up. In shallow center, McLemore way out. Devereaux calls him off, 2 outs.
I thought Pat was going to throw that back to you and say, now back to the exceptionally mature Sean McDonough.
But he chose not to.
Yes.
He could have said back to the plausibly live action in Baltimore, whatever that means. This is indeed completely live and coming your way from Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Kevin Reimer takes the strike. Reimer's walked twice. One of those an intentional walk in the 6th that backfired as Reimer came around to score. Kevin has also struck out. 0 for 1 officially. Facing Pat Clements, who's retired all 3 batters he has faced. Ouch. Looked like Reimer got himself just below the right knee.
That high kick, and now they look like right on the kneecap. Oh, man. Got a smart. Most of those foul balls are always painful. They're rarely serious. Occasionally you will see one hammered off the foot area and have a minor broken bone. Of course, it's always minor if it's not yours.
Yes.
Right.
We'll hope there are no broken bones tomorrow on CBS Sports when we bring you the 24th annual Die Hard 500 live from the Talladega Super Speedway in Talladega, Alabama. That's tomorrow at 1 Eastern Time here on CBS. Do you know what the difference is between a speedway and a super speedway?
No.
Nor do I. Does anybody in the truck know? The silence is deafening.
The width of the track, we understand, that allows for greater speed.
Thank you for cleaning up what Rick said. Rick Lasavita, a Harvard graduate and our producer, said it has to do with the wideness of the track. In the dirt, it skips back to Reimer. Now, since we've mentioned Rick, he shamelessly takes a shot of his parents in the stands. B on the right of your screen and Al Lasavita. Very proud of their Harvard-educated son, as they should be.
More nepotism.
Oh, my goodness.
Of course, we're in the area for it.
We are indeed. Reimer strikes out. Clements works a 1-2-3 inning while striking out 2. B and Alan Rick will be back in just a moment. The 8-4 Texas at the 7th inning stretch here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore. And the third Texas pitcher of the afternoon is right-hander Terry Matthews.
Terry 2-4, 6.03 earned run average, his 35th appearance of the year, and the third Texas pitcher of the afternoon.
The Roll Age relief break standings. Dennis Eckersley running away with that honor in the American League. It's still very tight between Norm Charlton of Cincinnati and Lee Smith of St. Louis in the National League. No losses for Eckersley, no blown saves.
And we talked about last night Dennis escaping a loss with the Maldonado home run in the top of the 9th, and Mike Bordick came back and hit the double to win it for Oakland.
Change for the Rangers. In addition to the new pitcher, Monty Ferris is the new left fielder. Reimer, the Major League leader in outfield errors, so they're looking for more defense in the 7th with an 8-4 lead. 1-1 on Devereaux. He's 0 for 3 today. Cal Ripken is on deck, and then Glenn Davis. Late swing by Devereaux. Those numbers you saw from Terry Matthews indicative of the problem that the Rangers have had in the bullpen, particularly at this part of the game. The 6th, 7th, and 8th innings. Matthews has been up and down 3 times this year between the majors and minors. Texas relief pitchers have lost 19 games. They have given up 36 home runs. They've allowed the opponents to hit 276. All of those are major league worsts, highs or lows, depending on from which perspective you view it. 2-2 now on Devereaux.
That's another reason that the Rangers have used 22 different pitchers this year also. That is also a major league high.
Well, just missed, and the count is full. What do you know? Another full count. Edwin Nunez is the right-hander. Kenny Rogers the lefty. And that's ball 4. Once again, here's Pat O'Brien.
All right, Sean, thank you. Toronto at Oakland. Manny Lee hits a shot to second baseman Mike Bordick. Watch this stop right there. He protects Darling's no-hitter through 5 innings. 2-0 Oakland. Back to that fine young man, Sean McDonough, and his partner.
Old what's-his-name. You're a young man, too, Tim.
Never will forget old what's-his-name. I'm older than either of you.
I believe Darling, a couple of weeks ago in Toronto, took a no-hitter late into the ball game against the Blue Jays and wound up beating them. We'll check on that as Cal Ripken takes a strike. Cal is walked, bounced back to the mound. He started the 4-run rally last inning with a single. He scored the first of the 4 runs. To right center field, it is slicing away from Gonzalez, but towards Sierra, who makes the running catch. Devereaux had gone most of the way towards second. He's back to first with 1 out.
Juan Gonzalez giving chase, but since a right-hander hit it, it did slice back to the right fielder. And Ruben Sierra tracks it down.
Now Glenn Davis batting with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. 8-4 Texas. The Orioles have a runner at first. Davis has singled, walked, and struck out.
Why in the world would you worry about a base runner when you have a 4-run lead? Got Glenn Davis up there, a very dangerous hitter, and you start dividing your attention between the base runner and the hitter with a 4-run lead, and you're going to get burned by the guy with the stick in his hand.
I mentioned when Glenn was up earlier, he's made some changes at the plate. Yesterday, I asked him about that.
At the plate, I've really been trying to relax a little bit more and go back to using a compact stance, doing some of the things mechanically that I've done in the past. I've always been the type of hitter that I've hit off my back leg. I've had I use a short stride. I use my wrist and my hands a lot to generate bat speed, and I let the ball get to me.
That formula has been working for him lately. That's a late swing down to Palmeiro. They get the out at second, and they turn the double play nicely. 3-6-3, and that ends the inning. We go to the 8th with Texas on top, 8-4.
Summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
The offensive star of this game is Rangers DH Brian Downing. He's 3 for 4. He has driven in 3 runs and scored twice. He had 2 hits during the Texas 7-run 6th inning. They had 6 hits in all of that inning as they sent 11 men to the plate. Baltimore responded in the bottom of the inning, knocking Bobby Witt out of the ball game with 4 runs of their own on 4 hits and a big error committed by the Rangers' Jeff Hewson. So it's 8-4 Texas as we go to the 8th. And the Orioles have a new pitcher on the mound. The 4th Baltimore hurler of the day is submarine throwing Todd Frower.
Formerly with the Philadelphia Phillies, he's 3-1, his 42nd game of the year. And we talked about the woes of the Texas Rangers as far as their bullpen is concerned. Well, the Baltimore Orioles, just the opposite. They've allowed only 10 home runs, the fewest in the major leagues, and they have the major's lowest earned run average in the bullpen at 2.74.
Johnny Oates said before the game he has been particularly pleased with the work of the right-handed relievers in the bullpen. Froworth and Mills getting to Greg Olson. Froworth's first pitch swung on and missed by Juan Gonzalez. A couple of right-handers coming up to start this inning. So the lefty Clements is out. Froworth is on. That was not a comfortable-looking swing. And Gonzalez is out on the fly ball to center. Juan now 1 for 4 with an RBI single in that big 6.
Well, the reason that wasn't a comfortable swing is most hitters, when they see a breaking ball, they see it either go parallel or down. This ball goes up. It has to go up because he's releasing the ball from underneath. There is no way for a submariner like Froworth to throw a breaking ball that goes down, not from that arm angle right there. His fastball goes down, but no breaking ball, and that was why that unusual swing by Juan Gonzalez on the curveball that actually went up, similar to Ted Abernathy, who used to pitch in the big leagues.
Palmer to deep left. Anderson to the wall. It's a home run.
Something else goes up, too, doesn't it?
Dean Palmer breaks an 0 for 21 drought with a home run. It's his 17th of the year. It's his first RBI in 12 games. And the Texas lead is back up to 5 at 9-4.
You see the glove by Dempsey. Froworth hits the glove, and Palmer hits the ball. What goes up must come down. Over the fence, home run number 17 on the year for Dean Palmer.
Just the second allowed by Froworth this year in 69 and 2/3 innings of work. The first by a right-handed hitter. Right-handed batters were hitting 196 against Froworth for his career prior to the home run by Palmer. Gino Petralli is the batter, 1-0 the count.
Talked about what goes up must come down. Watch the head of Todd Froworth. It went up. And it's thinking about going down, too, after that home run.
Took a while for the ball to come down. The fans, a la Wrigley Field, in the seats and left threw the ball back onto the field since it was a home run hit by the opposition. Petralli on the ground to second, and McLemore throws him out.
That's not the only tradition from Wrigley Field here at Camden Yards. There's also tradition in the ivy. Now that ivy was taken out of Wrigley Field, and we talked about the backdrop earlier. The problem as far as the hitters are concerned is that ivy's going to start growing up on that wall, and that could obscure the wall and the background for the hitters. Unlike Wrigley Field, where the ivy does not grow in center field, that center field area.
Do you think the ivy would be much of a change? It is green, and the wall that's out there now is a dark green.
They'd have to water it. If it turns brown, it's a bad background.
Up the middle for Fry and past Cal Ripken. Jeff Fry joins the hit parade. He's 1 for 3 today.
We've been into ornithology. Why not go into gardening?
How long do you think it'll take that ivy to grow up that wall? You have a beautiful garden at your home. So, of course, you should know the answer to that question.
Of course. Of course. Well, speaking of gardens, those are the tomato plants that were taken from Old Memorial Stadium and planted near the bullpen of the Baltimore Orioles here. And incidentally, the bullpens are raised. They did research, of course, a lot of research before building this ballpark. And there are the raised bullpens.
Go to first, got by Milligan. And Fry takes second.
Something I've never thought about fans wanting to see the pitchers warm up. And that's what the fans in the Baltimore Oriole area said. And consequently, ask and you shall receive. And they did.
Two-tiered bullpens, so you can see into both bullpens. They're not hidden behind a fence. In some nook and cranny of the ballpark, you cannot see. Everybody can see the bullpens, including those folks standing above the bullpens. That's the standing room area. They sell 275 standing room tickets on game day here. Brian Downing trying to add to what is already a big day. Another runner in scoring position. Brian is 3 for 4. With a single and 2 doubles, he has scored twice and driven in 3. He thought that pitch was low, and he might have had a point. 1-1 the count. 2 outs in the top of the 8th. 1 run in off Todd Froworth. It's 9-4 Texas.
The amount of arguing a hitter usually does is in direct proportion to what kind of day he's having. And Downing is having a good day, so you don't argue as much. Nice try by Randy Milligan. That ball with not a lot of hang time, and Milligan didn't have a chance to get set. And it looked like it hit the heel of the glove. Could have been caught, but that ball with not a lot of hang time, and of course he had the tarpaulin with which to deal.
And the ball girl running out of the way with her chair. No error charged on that play. Downing with his 4th hit of the game. Fry is being waved in. Orsolak's throw is not in time. Downing tries for 2, and he is out. But it's a single. 4th hit and 4th RBI of the day for Brian Downing. And another run scores for Texas. 2 runs in the 8th. Then we go to the bottom of the 8th with the Rangers leading 10-4.
Presents Major League Baseball. Today's game is brought to you by Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer. We build excitement. Advil, advanced medicine for pain. And by Speed Stick, 110% protection.
Sean McDonough with Tim McCarver, our producer Rick LaCivita, our director Joe Assetti. Delighted to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon from Baltimore. This is game 3 of a 4-game series. These two teams split the first 2. The Orioles winning last night. And the Rangers lead 10-4 as Baltimore bats in the 8th. Randy Milligan singled and scored in the 6th. He's 1 for 3 facing Terry Matthews, who has pitched 1 inning of shutout relief. The starters are the pitchers of record in this one. The Orioles have owned the Rangers in recent years. Baltimore 33-13 against Texas since the start of the 1989 season. Milligan with a base hit. A ringing single in the center. The Orioles have had the lead man on now in each of the last 3 innings and in 4 of the last 5.
Well, it's easier to hit when you're trailing by 8 runs. And the reason for that is you're not going to get a lot of breaking balls behind in the count. We talked about how much easier it was to hit when you get predictable pitches. And the more you're behind, the more predictable your pitches become.
Joe Orsulak slaps it out of play and left. Orsulak will be followed by Leo Gomez. Joe's 0 for 2 with a walk. He has scored a run. Pat O'Brien has been keeping you up to date with Ron Darling and his taking a no-hitter into the middle innings against Toronto at Oakland this afternoon. We mentioned that happened recently on July 12th at Toronto. Darling had a no-hitter for 7+ innings until Candy Maldonado broke it up in the 8th inning at Skydome. Darling's had a few of those. He pitched 7+ no-hit innings on April 14th against Kansas City. 4 1/3 no-hit innings on May 9th against the Yankees. 6 1/3 no-hit innings against Seattle on June 22nd. The 7+ that we mentioned on July 12th against Toronto, and into the middle innings again today against Toronto without allowing a hit. That's a pop-up. Jeff Fry. 1 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Leo Gomez singled to drive in a run, and he also scored in the 6th. Rangers lead 10-4. The Orioles batting with 1 out. And Milligan at first in the bottom of the 8th. Rangers trying to get back on the winning track. They've lost 6 of their last 8 and 7 of 10. They've fallen from 5.5 games out at first to 8.5 behind Minnesota. And can't get much further than that behind a solid club like Minnesota and expect to make up the ground, because it would be tough to anticipate a long losing streak on the part of the Twins.
Or the Oakland Athletics, the way they're playing.
Gomez very high and pretty deep to left center, but room for Gonzalez on the edge of the track. 2 down in the 8th.
The difference between the Baltimore Orioles and the Texas Rangers is that the Baltimore Orioles are chasing one team, the Toronto Blue Jays, right now. The Texas Rangers are chasing 2 teams, the Minnesota Twins and the Oakland Athletics. So it's doubly tough to gain ground on both of them, unless, of course, both of them go into a tailspin. The surprising team in the American League East, the Milwaukee Brewers, 6.5 games back, 7 games over 500, and certainly Phil Garner, the rookie manager for the Brewers, I wouldn't say an odds-on favorite for manager of the year, but certainly should get some consideration for that. Brewers leading the majors in stolen bases.
He brought a National League approach with him.
Yeah, he did.
He's certainly deserving of consideration for manager of the year on it, as is the Orioles' John Oates. Tony La Russa might be doing his best managing job this year. With all those injuries, keeping the pace with the defending world champions. In addition to Ricky Henderson, Dave Henderson, and Jose Canseco, who have played in a total of 15 All-Star games, the Athletics have used 11 different players, other than those 3, in the outfield. Dempsey taking all the way. He walks on 4 pitches. Rick batting for the first time today. There is no excuse for that walk on the part of Terry Matthews. working with a 6-run lead.
You see, that's another reason that it's easier to hit when you're way behind, because pitching coaches properly preach to pitchers, don't walk batters when you're behind. So you're going to get a predictable pitch to hit, most of the time the fastball, or the pitch that the pitcher gets over better.
Mark McLemore, the batter. He's up for the second time. He came up as a pinch hitter in the 6th and tripled to drive in 2. It's 10-4 Texas. Runners at first and second with 2 outs in the Baltimore 8th. Late swing, just foul past third with the left-handed hitting McLemore up there. Palmer was well off the line. Oh, 0-2 on McLemore. Pulled into the hole, a base hit. Milligan is being waved around, and he scores, and it's 10-5. Dempsey to third on the play. McLemore 2 for 2 off the bench, and he has driven in 3 runs.
So Mark McLemore contributes. Now a 10-5 ball game, and Rick Dempsey moving to third base. The one thing about Rick Dempsey, he could always run. One of the most horrible phrases that a catcher can hear is runs fast for a catcher. Always that qualification at the end, but Rick Dempsey is still at age 41 a fast runner.
Now I recall that in one season in your career you stole 9 bases. Was that your single season best?
Yes, it was.
Did you approach that again?
No, I did not.
Have you figured out yet how long it takes the ivy to grow up that wall in center field?
No, I have not.
Kenny Rogers, the new pitcher for the Texas Rangers. Time running out on the Orioles. We'll be back in just a moment.
Pat O'Brien in New York with the Baseball 92 update. Top of the 6th, Dave Winfield flies out to end the 6th. Ron Darling has no hit the slugging Blue Jays through 6. Oakland leads 3-0. Back to Sean McDonough and the biggest Mac of them all, Tim McCarver.
Oh, boy.
45,868. The attendance here this afternoon at Oriole Park. 28th consecutive home sellout. And they are crammed into the standing room area above the bullpens out there in left center field. And they're looking on as the 4th pitcher of the game for Texas, Kenny Rogers, gets ready.
Kenny 1-4, his 47th appearance of the season, 5 saves on the year.
Rogers with a looping breaking ball that missed. Brady Anderson 1 for 3 with a single in the 3rd. He's also walked and stolen his 32nd and 33rd bases of the year. Facing the most frequently called upon pitcher in the American League this season, Kenny Rogers is working today in his 47th game. 2 more than Dwayne Ward of Toronto and Greg Harris of Boston. Anderson fouled it off his foot. And as he walks it off, we'll tell you that it all starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's tonight on CBS. I skipped that part. Tonight on CBS, it all starts at 8 Eastern with the CBS Saturday movie Gunsmoke to the Last Man, starring James Arness. That's followed by Jake and the Fat Man. That's tonight on CBS. And it all starts at 8 Eastern time. And at the rate this one is going, the movie might be a little late. We are past the 3-hour mark here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Game that breezed through the first 5, but 11 runs were scored between these two teams in the 6th. What was a pitcher's duel has become an offensive battle, and that continues. Anderson a base hit. Dempsey scores. McLemore to third safely. It's 10-6. And the tying run is in the on-deck circle for Baltimore here in the bottom of the 8th.
That is a big hit for Brady Anderson because not only does he score Rick Dempsey, but because he hit it to right center field, Mark McLemore has a chance to go to third with still only 1 out in this inning. I beg your pardon, 2 outs. But McLemore taking a mild chance there when you're trailing by 4 runs going to third. And now that's going to be it for Kenny Rogers.
Ranger fans have seen this time and time again. And you really have to go back to the 2-out walk to Rick Dempsey. He's only batted 8 times all year. Matthews walked him on 4 pitches. And now 2 runs have scored. Both of them charged to Matthews. Community auditions continue for the Texas Rangers pitching staff. Edwin Nunez comes on after this. With Tim McCarver, delighted to have you with us. An important stretch of games at this time of the year, particularly for the Texas Rangers, Tim. They have 40 of their last 68 games on the road, and as we mentioned, they have the tougher task trying to catch up to the teams ahead of them than the Orioles do. But the Rangers aren't going to do it if this relief pitching continues to be like this.
Yeah, the pitching has just been deplorable. Their starting pitching is decent, but their bullpen has been wretched all season long, and they need the one stopper. They have Jeff Russell, but getting to Jeff Russell has been the problem.
Fortunately, today they had enough of a lead that the problems of the bullpen haven't created that large a problem. Here's Edwin Nunez, the 5th Texas pitcher of the ball game, into a 10-6 game. The Rangers at one point led 8-0. The runner at third is Mark McLemore. And at first, Brady Anderson. The batter is Mike Devereaux. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. Cal Ripken is in the on-deck circle representing the tying run. There's Cal. Nunez pours in a fastball for a strike. Nunez has been the best of that middle and long relief group for Texas lately, and that is not giving him much credit. Edwin has allowed only 1 run in 9 innings over his last 5 appearances. His ERA has dropped more than a full run per game, from 5.4 down to 4.34. As you saw, Devereaux's had a much better time of it against left-handers, but he drills that right-hander's pitch into the corner. McLemore has scored. Anderson is steaming to third. He'll be held there. It's a double for Devereaux. And now the tying run will come to the plate for the Orioles. It's 10-7.
Sometimes the third base coach wants a player to stay on the bag. There's no rounding the bag when you're trailing by 3 runs. And you'll see Cal Ripken Sr., the third base coach, and what he does with Brady Anderson. You take no chance with Junior coming up. A clean double by Mike Devereaux. It's now a 10-7 ball game, and because of that, look at Cal Ripken Sr. right there. He wants Anderson to stay on the bag.
Toby Harrah on his way to the mound to summon yet another pitcher. And it'll be his ace closer, Jeff Russell, the 6th pitcher of the ball game for Texas. Russell comes on with the tying run coming to the plate. It's 10-7 Texas in the 8th.
O'Brien in New York with another baseball 92 update. Toronto at Oakland. Candy Maldonado leading off, breaks up Ron Darling's no-hit bid. It's the second time in 2 weeks that Candy has spoiled Darling's dream of a no-hitter. Oakland leads 3-0. Back to Sean and Tim.
Jeff Russell, the closer. We talked about how Jeff has been effective. He's 2-3. The Texas Rangers have 31 saves on the year, and Jeff Russell has 24 of them. So Toby Harrow decided, well, Cal Ripken Jr.'s up there. I could take no more chances. And the 6th pitcher of the afternoon, Jeff Russell's in there as the bullpen of the Texas Rangers continue to flounder. Brady Anderson at third base, Mike Devereaux over at second, and Cal Ripken representing the potential tying run at the plate.
He has not hit a home run in 27 games. June 23rd. Russell's first pitch of ball. Russell has only allowed 1 home run this year in 47 1/3 innings. He has not been a part of the problem of home runs allowed by the Texas bullpen. (10-7) Texas. 2 men on with 2 outs in the Baltimore 8th, and a count of 1-1 now on Ripken.
You could see Ripken say, make him get it up. He just said it again. Get it up.
You mentioned earlier the flat bat, the problem getting around on a good fastball. Well, this man has one of the best in the American League, Jeff Russell. He stayed off the low pitch that time. The Texas Rangers have lost 10 games this year in which they led after 6 innings. 10 others in which the score was tied after 6. No other team in the majors can match that total of 20 losses when leading or tied after 6. A pop-up. Coming back toward the screen, Petralli, it will be close. He makes the catch. The Orioles get 3, but strand 2 in the bottom of the 8th. Then we go to the 9th with the Rangers leading by 3.
Texas on top of Baltimore. Mike Flanagan, who has been around this area and this ball club for the last 15 years off and on. He started his career with the Baltimore Orioles. He won a Cy Young Award with the Orioles. And Mike Flanagan, who is ageless. And speaking of ageless, the guy who is starting tomorrow, 5,610 strikeouts, 767 games. That's not starts, that's total games. And look at his lifetime record. Remarkable.
He'll face Mike Messina, the 23-year-old all-star of the Orioles, in the series finale tomorrow. Jeff Houston looks at strike 1. What was a comfortable 8-run lead for Texas has become a 3-run lead in the 9th. If the Rangers have enjoyed anything that you could call a comfortable lead this year with the way their bullpen has performed. One and one the count. Flanagan is 40 years old. He'll face Houston, then Palmeiro and Sierra. Great play by Gomez. Houston hit it on a line down to third, and Gomez went lunging to his left for the first out of the ninth.
Fine play by Leo Gomez. They call third base the reaction position, and that's why.
Reminiscent of Brooks Robinson. Ever since Brooks left, they've been searching to find a third baseman. Doug DeCinces filled that position for a while, but other than that, it's been pretty well a revolving door down there at third.
Since 1982, as a matter of fact, the Orioles have used 32 third basemen since Doug DeCinces, and they had Robinson for 23 years and DeCinces for about 6. So for 3 decades, they had Robinson and DeCinces, and they've used 32 third basemen since that time.
For a while, it looked like Craig Worthington would be the man. That's well hit. Nice play by McLemore on a hop. What defense behind Flanagan here in the ninth. Ruben Sierra is coming to the plate. Ruben recently recorded an album on his own label, Sierra Records. Let's listen in. And with Ruben Sierra in the background, he's out on the fly ball to center. We'll return to Cafe Oriole Park in just a moment. We only had a brief chance to listen to Ruben Sierra on his album, so we thought we'd give you a little bit more of a taste as we go to the bottom of the ninth.
Name of the album is The Mambo King, right?
I don't know.
I don't either.
We'll find out, though.
I like it, though. It's good. Boogie down.
Ruben spent $40,000. Oh, there's the title of the album.
Oh, okay.
A real hit. And the song you're hearing is He Who Plays with Fire. Would you like to try the Spanish on that? He Who Plays with Fire, please?
Okay, juega con fuego.
Way to go. Ruben spent $40,000 of his own money to start Sierra Records, based in Miami. 8 songs on the album. Ruben's actually a pretty quiet and shy guy, so that surprised some people when he recorded an album. Pretty good.
Yeah, like it. Give it about an 85, easy to dance to.
We should note that you're quite a singer in your own right. Fans of This Week in Baseball saw not long ago. Glenn Davis tried to bunt his way on with his team down by 3 as he starts the bottom of the ninth. Davis is singled, walked, struck out, and bounced into a double play. Randy Milligan and Joe Orsulak scheduled to follow the middle third of the order. Against Russell, who came on with the tying run at the plate last inning, got Cal Ripken to pop out to the catcher to end that threat. Breaking ball for strike 2, 0-2. Russell's had arm problems in recent years, but it really hasn't affected his velocity. He still gets it up there in the 90s. That's just low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Russell trying to save it for the starter, Bobby Witt. Rick Sutcliffe is the pitcher of record for Baltimore. He started for the Orioles. Davis still alive at 1-2. The ball low. 2-2 on Davis. Not only is 9 consecutive games the best hitting streak for Glenn Davis ever as a Baltimore Orioles, but this is the first time this year that Glenn Davis has started 9 consecutive games. Still 2-2.
It's a shame because of the injuries that Baltimore fans don't have a better chance to see Glenn Davis and what he can do. I mean, he was a lethal power hitter, one of the most dangerous hitters in the National League for 6-7 years, and has yet to show the fans here in Baltimore that because of his injuries.
A lot of fans in this area think Glenn Davis's ability to perform will be a key for the Orioles down the stretch. They're going to stay with the Toronto Blue Jays. Breaking ball just missed. Davis has worked the count full.
He got a break on that pitch. That breaking ball from Russell, very, very close. Just a little low.
The trolley caught it awkwardly, which might have affected the call. Base hit. So here come the Orioles again. They have the lead man on for the 4th straight inning. And they're now out hitting the Rangers 11-10. Tying run in the on-deck circle. Randy Milligan, the batter. He's 2 for 4. Joe Orsulak to follow. Breaking ball missed. Toby Harrah has watched his bullpen allow the Orioles back into the ball game. Now he's hoping his closer can close it. Toby in his 26th year in professional baseball, his 20th in the Ranger organization. He is the first Ranger player ever to become Texas manager. One and two now on Milligan. 10-7 Texas. Milligan at the plate with nobody out and Davis at first in the bottom of the 9th. Palmeiro is playing well behind Davis down at first. They laid off the breaking ball low and away. They appealed down to first. Tim Welke said it was not a swing. 2-2. Milligan has an excellent eye. He's walked 62 times this year. That's the 5th highest walk total in the American League. He popped that one up in shallow right. Fry out, and he takes charge. 1 out. Milligan now 2 for 5. Joe Orsulak. He's gone all the way in right field, but he's hitless today, 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. And that's a surprise because Joe Orsulak, coming into the ball game, was the leading hitter in the American League in the month of July.
Orsulak also a good bunter, and with the Orioles trailing by 3, and Orsulak in effect representing the 9th run should he score. They're trailing 10-7. Good time to try to bunt for a base hit.
Leo Gomez will follow Joe Orsulak. Well hit. toward the gap in right center. That's in for a hit. Sierra cuts it off. Davis to third. Orsolak into second with a double.
Orsolak hammers this high fastball to right center field. Ruben Sierra making the play. An awkward throw by Sierra. Of course, had he planted and thrown, that takes time, and Orsolak would have been at second anyway. But right now, I think what you do is you play your outfielders a little deeper, and you make sure that they know they throw the ball to second base on a ball in the gap. There's no way you try to get Orsolak at the plate.
Now Leo Gomez. We mentioned earlier he's been on a 3-run homer tear of late. He has 3-run homers in his last 10 games. A 3-run homer here would tie it. He's 1 for 4 today with an RBI single, and he scored a run in the 6th. 10-7 Texas. 2 men in scoring position with 1 out for the Orioles in the bottom of the 9th. Leo is trying to tie it, and he missed. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball and around the inside part of the plate. Gomez to be followed by Rick Dempsey. Fouled straight back and out of play. 1-2. Will be interesting to see if Dempsey bats. He is the only catcher remaining for Baltimore because Tackett started and was lifted for a pinch hitter. You'd have to think he's going to hit. Time called by Gomez.
Your point is that if they pinch hit for Rick Dempsey and do tie it, then who's going to catch?
That's right.
That's an interesting point. Volunteers? Not likely.
No. Saw John Oates looking up at you a couple of times.
Not likely.
Now he's ready for the 1-2 pitch. Slider missed, blown away. 2-2.
I say you don't worry about who's going to catch. Try and tie it first, then figure that out.
They do have Sam Horn and David Segui on the bench. And also Tommy Shields just called up from Rochester. He would be an unlikely choice for the right-handed Russell on the mound. The 2-2. Chop foul.
That's one of the problems with carrying only 2 catchers. When you get deep into the game, especially if he is a defensive catcher, and Johnny Oates is a former catcher, certainly knows that. The ideal thing is to have your third catcher as a guy who could play other positions like first, third, an outfield position, and could swing the bat.
Pitch was up a bit. Gomez pulled it foul. Gomez at the plate with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. Runners at second and third. The Orioles trail 10-7. In the bottom of the 6th, they were down 8-0. The Orioles were to win this game, it would match the greatest comeback in Baltimore history. Back in 1956, Baltimore trailed 8-0 at Boston. Came back to win 11-10 on September 2nd of that year. Fans a little bit restless as Petrale and Russell got together at the mound. And an 8-run comeback would also be the biggest comeback in the American League this season. But there's still a lot of work to be done for the Orioles. Russell trying to save it for Bobby Witt. Gomez has fouled off a couple of tough 2-2 pitches. And there's another in on the hands and fouled straight back. $45,868 the attendance, and very few of them have left. Despite the fact that this ball game was once 8-0, and we're past the 3.5-hour mark. He spoils another. Jeff Russell with another 2-2 pitch to Gomez, and he fouled it away. Gomez has hit between .280 and .310 all year. The knock on him here in Baltimore through most of this season has been that he hasn't hit for power and hasn't been driving in runs out of that number 7 spot in the batting order. But that has all changed lately. 16 runs batted in his last 11 games, including his RBI today. And as we mentioned, 3 3-run homers in the last 10 games. Russell came after him with the fastball. Gomez again sent it straight back. Texas 10, Baltimore 7. 1 out, runners at second and third in the bottom of the 9th. Time called. And this lengthy battle continues. There have been 7 foul balls off the bat of Leo Gomez since the count went to 2 strikes. That graphic will have you pacing if you're the manager of the Rangers. Still another 2-2 pitch. Upstairs.
Fouling off 7 2-2 pitches, and now Gomez takes the fastball up and in. It is really going to be interesting if he gets on to see if Johnny Oates will pinch hit for Rick Dempsey, who's on deck.
Breaking ball popped up. Russell is going to win the lengthy battle. Confusion in the infield. Russell made the catch. Palmer was a little slow in coming in. Russell saw that, and he started to panic a bit. He dramatically called for the catch and made it.
I would say that's rather dramatic, yes. And Russell makes the catch, and that ball easily could have been dropped. Dean Palmer, the third baseman, came out there. That's really a catcher's call. A catcher's got to call one guy and hold the other one. Of course, it's very difficult to hear, and I'm sure Gino Petrale was calling the third baseman, but there was a mild panic on the part of Russell, but he did make the catch, and a pinch hitter for Rick Dempsey.
Sam Horn. Should the Orioles tie it, Tim McCarver will be catching for them when we go to the 10th inning. Sam Horn, as you saw, is 0 for his last 19. He has been a very effective pinch hitter over his career with Baltimore. Lifetime as an Oriole, off the bench. .310 as a pinch hitter, including 5 pinch hit home runs, 3 of those last year.
Right to the right of your screen, Rafael Palmeiro guarding the line at first base. That's certainly proper with a power hitter like Horn up there. Remember, it's only 318 feet down the right field line. Easily reachable for the mammoth Sam Horn.
Sam told me yesterday he's hit the warehouse in right field a couple of times in batting practice. That is 460 feet from home plate. In the dirt. Davis started toward the plate but didn't try to score. And Orsolak charged toward third momentarily. But that run down at third means very little.
Yeah, there's no sense in trying to score unless you're absolutely sure. And the ball bounced up. The run right there means absolutely nothing. So Glenn Davis taking all the precautions. Gino Petrelli going after that ball wrong. Whenever a catcher goes after a ball in the dirt with his glove, it's the wrong way. You try to block that pitch. But Davis not trying to score since it's still Horn who has to deliver with the bat.
Fastball inside. Should Horn reach, Mark McLemore is on deck. And even though McLemore didn't come into the ballgame until the 6th inning, he has been a major player. He had a pinch hit 2-run triple in the 6th. He singled to drive in another in the 8th. He also scored in the 8th. 10-7 Texas. 2 men in scoring position with 2 outs in the Baltimore 9th. Horn chopped it foul. Down to Davey Lopes, former Ranger coach, now on the Orioles staff. Low, 3-1. I'm surprised Toby Harrah has any fingernails left to bite on, even though he's only been the manager for 14 games now. Big swing of the 3-1 fastball.
I think we've just discovered who will be the catcher. If the Orioles do tie this, Tommy Shields played all 9 positions against Syracuse September 4th of last year. So he has caught before in the minor leagues.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Would that be something?
Russell trying to end it right here. And Horn fouls it out of play. Out of play again. Still 3-2 on Sam Horn.
Now it's Rick Dempsey's turn to bite the nails.
He has frequently been mistaken for John Oates. Matter of fact, 3 times this year, Dempsey has done radio interviews while posing as Johnny Oates, and he's received gift certificates. There is some resemblance there. Russell has thrown 33 pitches this inning. If he saves it, he will have earned it. It was Russell that time who asked for time to be called. In the bottom of the 9th, with Texas leading 10-7. Sam Horn up with 2 outs and runners at 2nd and 3rd. The count is 3-2. Once again, the payoff pitch. Ball 4, high and away. That puts the tying run on base. It brings the winning run to the plate. And it brings Tom House to the mound. There will be a runner for Sam Horn. Tommy Shields comes on to run at first base. There is no action in the bullpen. House just out to chat with Russell about the situation. There's Shields just up from Rochester to run for Horn. Since it is rapidly approaching at 8 Eastern time, we'll remind you that tonight on CBS begins with the CBS Saturday movie Gunsmoke, To the Last Man. Kind of appropriate coming on the heels of this ball game. This game going down to the last man. The movie stars James Arness, and it's followed by Jake and the Fat Man tonight on CBS. Mark McLemore has already auditioned for the role of hero in this one. He tripled in 2 runs as a pinch hitter in the 6th. He singled a drive in another in the 8th and scored in the 8th inning. That's the situation with the bases loaded in the Baltimore 9th. High, ball 1. Should McLemore reach, Brady Anderson would bat next. Outside, 2-0. Just 1 for 10 lifetime against Jeff Russell is Mark McLemore. That's 3-0. Russell has blown 7 saves this year. He's tied with Bobby Thigpen for most blown saves in the American League with those 7. And he comes into this one having pitched 4 2/3 scoreless innings over his last 4 appearances. The 3-0 pitch. He walked him on 4 pitches to force in a run. Davis crosses the plate. It's 10-8. Now the tying run is in scoring position. The winning run is at first base. And the batter is Brady Anderson. Brady's 2 for 4 with 2 singles, including an RBI single last inning. He's also walked and stolen 2 bases today. Borderline strike after the 4 straight balls to McLemore. The next pitch from Jeff Russell will be his 40th of the 9th inning. It's slashed out of play, and Anderson is deep in the hole, 0-2. This year, the Orioles are 42-19 in games in which Anderson either scores a run or drives one in. He's already driven in one today. Russell took too long for Anderson. If you're just joining us, the Rangers led 8-0 after 5½. Don't those 2 runs in the top of the 8th for Texas look big now? Again, Anderson slaps it out of play. Glenn Davis started this ninth with a single, and he has scored the only run here in the ninth. But the bases are loaded with 2 outs. Russell with the 0-2 to Anderson. Ooh, a tough pitch to take with 2 strikes. And the game hanging in the balance, but he did, and it was just inside and low.
With the splitter, the split finger fastball goes down and out of the strike zone.
Sean Brady turned away, relieved that Dan Morrison did not end the ball game with a strike call. The 1-2 pitch. Fouled straight back.
But the Orioles as a team batting .386 with the bases loaded this year.
Another 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball fouled off Anderson's foot. The best with the bases loaded has been Mike Devereaux. He's 8 for 14 this year with the bases full, including 2 home runs, and he's on deck. The .386 average for the Orioles with the bases loaded as a team is the major league high. And there's Devereaux. The 1-2 pitch to center field. Gonzalez coming on to make the basket catch that ends the ball game. The Rangers hang on. The Orioles tried to come back from 8-0 down and fell just short. They scored 1 in the 9th, but left the bases loaded. And Jeff Russell does indeed save it for Bobby Witt. The final score, Texas 10 and Baltimore 8.
After trailing 8-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning, the Orioles coming back and almost. Brady Anderson hitting it hard and Juan Gonzalez on for the catch to end it. And did Jeff Russell ever earn his 25th save of the season?
So that gets the Rangers back to 500 under Toby Harrah at 7-7. They've won 2 out of the first 3 games in this series. And tomorrow they'll try to make it 3 out of 4 behind Nolan Ryan. He'll be opposed by Mike Messina. 3 hours and 51 minutes, the time of the ball game for the 9 innings before the sellout crowd of 45,868. The Chevrolet player of the game is Brian Downing of the Texas Rangers. Brian went 4 for 5 today. He drove in 4 and scored 2. Bryant had 2 singles and 2 doubles. Chevrolet will donate $1,000 in the name of Brian Downing to the Special Olympics. Final line score for Texas: 10 runs, 10 hits, and 1 error. The Rangers in the ball game stranded only 4 base runners. Baltimore, 8 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error. And the Orioles left 12 base runners, including 3 in the 9th. Bobby Witt, the winner. His record now 9-7. Rick Sutcliffe takes the loss, 10-10. And as Tim mentioned, Russell certainly worked for the save. A home run for Dean Palmer, his 17th. And now it looms as a big one, because at the time it looked like it was going to be meaningless. It made it 9-4, but the Rangers needed every one of those runs, as it turned out.
You know, a lot has been said about long baseball games in baseball this year, but I think you have to distinguish why they are long. And today's game was long because the Orioles came back. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better ball game after everybody thought it was going to be a laugher after 5.5 innings. The Rangers come up with 7 runs in the top of the 6th, and yet it's a 10-8 ball game. So I think today was a good long ball game.
And the good news for the Rangers is that they won it. The bad news is, as Toby Harris said, the bullpen has to get better.
Yeah. And
they really let them down again today.
Yeah, another example of why they have lost 20 games, 10 with the lead and 10 being tied after the 6th inning. Their bullpen has been dreadful this year, and I don't really know whether you can go out and get a guy in the bullpen who is a good middle reliever unless you bring somebody up and give him the job. But Texas is going to really struggle as long as they continue to have problems with the bullpen.
Meanwhile, the Baltimore Orioles went more than a month with only a game separating themselves and the Toronto Blue Jays, and they flip-flopped for a while atop the American League East standings. But in recent days, they have shown signs of falling back, and Rick Sutcliffe, after 5 strong innings, really came apart in the 6th.
I think what has happened to Toronto also is that they've allowed the Milwaukee Brewers to get back into things. They were trailing 3-0 today. If Milwaukee wins, Milwaukee's only 5.5 games back. So both Baltimore and Toronto have allowed the American League East to be a 3-team race.
Baltimore tried to come back from 8-0 down today, but they could not. 10-8. The final. Texas wins it. Jeff Russell saved it for Bobby Witt. And Bobby Witt deserved a little bit better fate than he wound up with. His final line will show 4 earned runs in his 5 innings plus. But I think a bright spot today for Texas was his starting pitching.
I don't think there's any question about it.
Baltimore Orioles, with the loss, now 4 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays, pending the outcome of the Blue Jays game against Oakland this afternoon. And as Tim mentioned, Milwaukee still very much in it. Texas trying to climb back into it out west. They started the day 8.5 behind Minnesota. So for Tim McCarver, I'm Sean McDonough saying so long from Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore, where the final score of today's game was Texas 10 and Baltimore 8. Coming tomorrow, it's the Die Hard 500 live from Talladega, Alabama. That comes your way at 1 Eastern time, as does Major League Baseball action next Saturday, as the St. Louis Cardinals face the Pittsburgh Pirates, or the New York Yankees take on the Toronto Blue Jays here on CBS Sports.
CBS Sports presents Major League Baseball. Today's game is brought to you by Kellogg's, proud sponsor of our 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Goodyear, the tires that help keep you and your family in touch with the road, rain or shine. And by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
You've been watching Major League Baseball on CBS Sports, home of the biggest games in baseball, the League Championship Series and the World Series. So long, everyone, from Baltimore.